Today, I'm going to show you how to build a Shopify checkout UI extension in under 20 minutes. This extension will allow shoppers to enter a VAT number required by the EU and will then tag the order as either valid or invalid based on the status of the entered VAT number. Let's get started. Okay, my first step is creating my new Gadget app. I'm going to select the Shopify app starter and click next. And I'll enter my app domain. I'll just go VAT validator EU. Click enter to get started. This spins up a new Gadget development instance for me. So this gives me my hosted Postgres database, Node.js backend, and React frontend powered by Vite. The first thing I'm going to do is connect to Shopify. So I can go ahead and click this connect to Shopify button here. And this gives me two options. We always recommend connecting through the partner's dashboard as opposed to the store admin because it gives you the access to embedded front ends, Shopify's app extensions, and is good for either custom or public app development. There's really no downsides. So I'm going to go ahead into my partner's dashboard here, and I will create a new app. So I'm going to click on apps, create an app, and then I'll create an app manually. I will call this the same thing, VAT validator EU, enter to create. And now I can copy this client ID and secret back over to my Gadget app. There's my ID and my secret. And I'll press connect. On this page, I select what Shopify API scopes and data models I want to include in my Gadget app. Gadget is going to handle the subscription to webhooks for me, so I can go ahead and select what data models I want included in my app, and Gadget handles the rest. So because I'm going to be tagging orders with either VAT valid or VAT invalid based on the VAT that a user has inputted in the checkout, I'm going to go ahead and select the write, which gives me read and write scopes for the orders. And I will want the Shopify order data model because I'm actually going to be storing the entered VAT number on the order as a metafield. So this little summary off to the side shows me what will be included when I click confirm. So it gives me these webhooks, these access scopes are included, my read and write orders, and I will be getting these data models. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to press confirm. You'll notice that right away, the Shopify order data model was added, as well as sync, GDPR request, and shop models, which are defaults that we add every time you connect to Shopify by default. There's couple more steps I need to take care of to finish setting up my connection. Because I selected the Shopify order data model, I do need to fill out the protected customer data access form in the Shopify partner's dashboard. I also need to copy my app and redirection URL back to the partner's dashboard. So I'm going to do my app and redirection URLs first. Click on app setup. And I'll do my app URL. And I will do my redirection URL. Press save. Fantastic. Now the protected customer data access form is just under API access. I can go down here, click request access, and protected customer data. I'm going to select app functionality and press save. And this allows Gadget to register those order scopes when I install my app on a store, so we'll be able to pull order data into my Gadget database. I'm going to go ahead and just install my app on a store now. Go back to the overview. We have a test your app section. I'm going to select a store. I'm going to go to my checkout branding testing store. I haven't written a line of code yet. Gadget is going to take care of all of Shopify's OAuth for me. I can just install my app right away. So I will click install app. And voila, we are now installed on a Shopify development store. This is actually a React front end that is powered by my Gadget project. So you can see this page is powered by shop page JSX. So if I actually just go back to my Gadget app, click on front end folder, we see we have a shop page JSX file. This is the React code, the Polaris code that is powering this front end. Gadget front ends do have hot module reloading, so you don't really have to give up anything with your development experience. It all just works out of the box, which is fantastic. I'm not going to touch on the admin front ends anymore for this demo, but this is just a good light introduction to let you know we have them. So now I'm going to go back to my Gadget app. So I have my Shopify order data model. If I click on this, we see it's got all of these fields, which are the fields included by Shopify on the order. And all of this data will be synced to Gadget. You can see CRUD actions were also automatically created. We have create, update, and delete here, which gives us code files that we own. So I can go ahead and modify these code files, write some custom code. The triggers are up top here. And you see by default, it is Shopify webhooks. So any of your order webhooks incoming will fire these create, update, or delete actions in Gadget. And then there is a data sync. So Gadget does have a historical data sync, a nightly reconciliation job that allows you to pull in historical data or any missed webhooks for the day for the reconciliation. So either of these actions will trigger our create, update, or delete actions, which is great. We're going to want to take advantage of the orders create action when a orders create webhook fires. And at that point, we can run some custom code to see whether or not the VAT code that was added in checkout is valid or not. And we can apply a tag to that order. So we're going to need a couple things here. I do need a place to store the VAT code that is entered in checkout on an order. So because I own this order data model, I can actually add custom fields to it. So I'm going to go ahead and I will add a field here. I'll call it VAT number. So this is going to give me a place to store the entered VAT number. And I'm actually going to store this as a metafield. So we do have support for metafields in Gadget. I'm going to give it a namespace. I'll just call it Gadget example. I'm going to go ahead and register that namespace. And I'll enter the key, just VAT number. So that's fantastic. I can also choose metafield type if I want. I'm okay with a string align text field. I can also change the type of how this is stored in Gadget. This can be useful when you're doing references. You can create as a relationship, but for now, I'll just leave it as a string. So that's great. I now have a place to store this VAT number. Because I registered my namespace, any webhooks fired when the metafield changes will also update the data in Gadget. So that's great. So this VAT number should be synced for me automatically when I store it in the checkout extension that I'm about to get to. So that's wonderful. Now that I have a place to store this VAT number, I'm going to want to run a little bit of custom code whenever an order comes in. So when I make an order, I have already entered my VAT number. I've got my metafield. This is all going to come in, and I need to check to see if the tagged VAT is actually valid. So this is going to be on the create action here. I'm actually going to use an npm function, or npm package, sorry, in order to check whether or not a VAT is valid. So I can go yarn add VIES VAT, and this will install this package. So this is just a package that allows me to check whether or not a VAT is valid by checking the VIES system, which is an EU system that stores valid VAT codes. We can use these NPM packages because we are built on top of Node.js, or we're running Vite and React. So you see you do have a package JSON file here with all of your included packages. We see vsvat is right here, and that's great. It is installed. We can go ahead and start adding our custom code. So I'm going to click on my Shopify order on the create action here, and I'm going to add a couple things. I am just going to copy paste. It'll be a little quicker. So we can go ahead and import I'll actually just do a require here. So we can get VIES from our package. I'm going to predefine, just as constants, two possible tags that we can use. So a valid and invalid tag. So these are the tags that I'm actually going to apply to my order. And then I will paste some custom code in our onSuccess function here. We have two functions as part of our default actions code. Run is for storing data into the database. So this will be fired initially. It's transactional. It will just apply the incoming parameters, which is all of your order fields, to the individual record. We have prevent cross-shop data access, so there is built-in multi-tenancy in your Gadget apps, and then it will just save the record to the database. On success is good for these kind of after effects, such as validating the VAT. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste some code here. So what it's going to do is check if a VAT number exists on the record. That is the incoming order. If that exists, it's going to use our imported package. It will await and send off the VAT number and country code from the record. So you can see the record is sending the VAT number, which is our stored metafield, as well as the country code from the billing address. There's a built-in logger that Gadget gives you access to. So you can see there's a logger param here. And we are just going to log the record ID, which is the order ID, the VAT number, as well as what the response is from our package. So we'll see whether or not it's valid or invalid in our logger. Finally, we are going to check whether or not the response is valid or not. If it is, we have our valid tag that we're applying, VAT validated. Otherwise, we are going to apply a VAT invalid tag to our order. And we're using the built-in connections object here. I'll just import it. So this connections parameter allows me to get the current Shopify shop. And we're using the Shopify API node package here under the hood to send a request to Shopify. So this is how I'm updating my current order. I'm passing in the order ID and applying the new tag to my order. I'm not overwriting any of my old tags, just applying the new one. Finally, I'm going ahead and writing another statement to the log. So this will run every time we create a new order. Now we need to build our checkout extension so that we have a place to actually enter our VAT number in the checkout. So to do that, I'm just going to go ahead and I will create a new Shopify app. I'm going to use PNPM. There we go. A new app will be built for me. I'm going to enter a name. Once again, VAT validator EU. I'm not going to use the remix template. I'm just going to choose an extension only app. So I'm going to go start by adding your first extension. This will give me a light scaffolding that I can build on. Perfect. I'm going to change directory into my new app. Validator EU, and I'm going to go ahead and open this in VS Code. And Shopify apps and validator EU. Perfect. So this is the app that Shopify created for me. It's pretty light right now. I will say that you can also pull down your Gadget code locally using our file sync feature. So if you do want to write your code files in VS Code, you can do that as well. But let's get back to our extension here. So now I'm going to go ahead and generate an extension. You can see it gives you the command here as well. Riley Test Stuff is my partners organization. I do not want to create this as a new app in the partners dashboard because I already created one. So I just want to connect to an existing app. And I'm going to choose my VAT Validator EU app that I use to create my connection to Gadget. Excellent. So I'm just going to choose a Checkout UI extension. I'm just going to leave it as Checkout UI for now, but you can go ahead and name it, and I will select JavaScript React, which is the default. You can see that an extensions folder has been added to my project, and we appear to be good to go. So I can go ahead and look in my extensions folder. I get a TOML file, which is where I can configure the target and API access of my app. And in the source file, I have checkout.jsx. This is where I can actually write my checkout extension. So I'm just going to go ahead and start up this app here. I'm going to choose the same store I installed my embedded app on, that is Checkout Branding Testing. Fantastic. I can open up Shopify's dev console here. I will just flip back and enter the copied URL. And so I get my checkout. Let's go return to information. And I see I have a checkout UI extension running here. So this is the extension that I just built. It's running. Now I just need to modify it a little bit. So I want this VAT to appear, or the input box to appear in a very specific place in my extension. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and copy over a new target. So I need to actually change it here. I want it to be just before the delivery address, and I'm also need to change that in my TOML. Perfect. So now if I flip back here, it's not loading. I am going to stop and restart my app. And hopefully the location of my extension has changed. So once again, I'll open another dev console and go ahead and close the old one and paste this in. Keeps taking me to the information page. There we go. So we can see it's no longer up at the top. My banner is now here in the shipping address section, which is perfect. That's exactly where I want it. We're going to make this a VAT input box instead. Excellent. So now I'm just going to copy paste some code over top of this default extension code, just because it's a little easier. Watching me type out isn't super exciting. So you can see we have some different imports up here. We still have our React extension, but instead we're using a text field component. That's just going to be an input box that shoppers can use to enter a VAT code. And we have a use apply metafields change hook, as well as a use metafield hook. Our React extension definition here with the target, that hasn't changed at all. We're still going before the delivery address. And we're just hard coding our metafield namespace and key right here. We are using this use apply metafields change hook to get an update metafield function. And we call this function in a callback whenever our text field changes. So with each entry, we're going to go ahead and update that metafield so that when the order goes through, it has the most up-to-date metafield that will then be validated in the Gadget backend. Finally, we're using the use metafield hook here to just keep the value up to date. So the actual stored metafield will always be the value of our input box. So that's awesome. That's our state management. That's all that's really needed for our checkout extension. So it's pretty small. So now if I go back here, I'm going to go ahead and refresh this page. We see we now have a VAT number ready to be entered. So I'm going to go ahead. I have some sample numbers here. Go ahead and enter that. Belgium sounds good. I already have some shipping information entered, so I'm just going to continue through here. Canada Post sounds good to me. Continue to payment, and I will go through and place my order. And press pay now. So this will create the new order in Shopify. It'll fire that confirmed webhook. That information will be sent to Gadget, and our custom VAT validation code will be run. So if I go and check my order data, you see, there we go. Took a while for the webhook to get here, but you can see that we did get the response. We are running our custom code. So we can see that my entered VAT value, if I just pause my logs here, my entered VAT value is definitely not valid. So we are actually applying that VAT invalid tag to the order. If I go into the data page, you can see my order exists. It should be tagged. If I find tags here, no, that's just searching data. Still got to find the tags. Tags, there we go. VAT invalid, so we can see it was applied to my new order. And then if I actually go into my partner's dashboard, click on orders, this is my order I just made here. You can see that it is tagged with VAT invalid. So that's fantastic. So that means I can actually go through to this order overview page and sort or filter by that VAT invalid tag. So that was how you can build a checkout extension using Gadget in under 20 minutes to check for valid or invalid VAT codes. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out on our developer Discord or check out our documentation. Until next time, I hope you keep building more and coding less with Gadget.